one this morning, just coming up, and then a race this afternoon, and then another race tomorrow morning. But quite a big story here. Dave Richardson, look who is on the front row alongside him. Alexander Sims making his comeback, of course, a couple of races ago to Formula 3, having raced in sports cars. Joined the T-Bond team, taking the place of the departed Will Buller, and doing a great job. Just talking to Russell Escott this morning.
Yes.
He's very happy the way Alexander's going.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Now, as you said, the standout driver, Raffaele Marciello, but what form we've seen from this guy. Felix Rosenqvist, Andrew, who's really come on strong. And, of course, the points difference now between Marciello and Rosenqvist. Marciello leads the points, Rosenqvist P2. He's really narrowed that margin, hasn't he?
Certainly has. We've got a repeat, really, of last season where Marciello led the early part of the season, then Juncadella came on strong, but Marciello wasn't able to respond. What we're looking at this weekend is maybe a response from Marciello as we look at young Jordan King. Remember, a rookie in Formula 3 this season. Outstanding qualifying performance from the Carlin driver there in 4th place, Jordan King.
I was talking to Trevor Carlin just before making our way over here as we look at Pippo Durrani right now, and Trevor's always good to have a chat with as a team boss, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know.
Saw he was in big discussions with the Volkswagen boss Jos Capito for about 2 hours this morning. There's obviously something going on there. Well, there's good qualifying from Pippo Durrani, the Brazilian driver. And moving back down, Lucas Auer in another front runner, also with the Prema Power team. Similar helmet, of course, to his uncle, Gerhard Berger. And that is Lucas Auer, though he's about a foot shorter than Gerhard. So he qualifies in 6th place. And then the row behind that, best qualifying performance of the season from the tall American. And we'll see him in a moment, Michael Lewis. Michael, of course, came into the season a race late, didn't do the first round. We saw him have 1 win last year, and here looking now at Michael Lewis. I'm not quite sure what that sign meant.
No, if I'm honest, Andrew, I'm surprised we've not seen a little bit more from Michael Lewis.
Yeah.
He showed moments of brilliance last season, didn't he? And that hasn't quite come to pass this year.
No, interesting shot looking through the front suspension and seeing the camber they have on these front wheels here. On the 4th row of the grid then with Michael Lewis is the Puerto Rican driver, Felix Serrales. Some new logos on that car this weekend. Remember, this family makes rum, and we used to have lots of signs for their rum on the car, but now it says, visit Puerto Rico. I wouldn't mind doing that. I wonder if there's any free tickets going if we give them a good plug.
That's feasible, isn't it? Yeah, we could do that.
And then the Marcom prepared car, the German prepared car of, in his 2nd season, Sven Muller, another teenage driver from Germany. Quite a lot of hopes on him. And yeah, nice shot. He is backed by the Deutsche Post Speed Academy. Great to see the German Post Office putting so much money into motor racing here. And alongside him, Harry Tinknell from Devon, the man from Exeter there. And we've seen Tinknell winning this season, but just not really hooking it up in qualifying. And then here's a surprise, way back in 11th place, spoke to him this morning, Alex Lynn. We had a lot of understeer in the car, just couldn't get a good qualifying lap. And Alex has been a winner this season in this championship, and there he is. And he really doesn't quite know what's wrong. He said, we've got some tests after this, and we're going to try and sort the car out. He said, my teammates, of course, he's with Prema, the top Italian team, same as the pole sitter. They seem to have a good setup. I've gone in the wrong direction with mine, and I really don't know why. And then, well, also in a Mucca car, Mucca Motorsport from Berlin, Mitch Gilbert. And I think that's probably his best qualifying of the season.
Yes, I think it is. It's interesting you were mentioning there just about the different setup being carried there. Yeah. And the setups, even within the team, but for each driver, are different.
Yeah,
Andrew,
they work with their engineers, what they think is going to work with them. Ride height's so important, and Alex did say we got the ride height wrong. But then we got that right, but then I still had this understeer, and I just couldn't get it sorted. But maybe Alex is going to try and make a good start on what he's really doing this year. Remember, he's 3rd in the championship.
Yes.
Alex hoping to just get some good solid points, and you know, he's on a damage limitation program really now. So much happens in qualifying. It's so important in the overall outcome of the race, because he's still very difficult to overtake in Formula 3 with all these aero packages.
Yes,
and then further back we haven't seen him, but 2 people we expect to see running a bit more forward of their starting positions. In 13th, the Russian guy Kvyat from Red Bull backed, and then Tom Blomqvist is in 14th place, who is lying 6th in the championship. Didn't catch up with Tom this morning. And after that, it's Latifi and Mardenborough, Chiva, Van der Laar, Nissani, Giovinazzi that wins in the British Formula 3 Championship, Rudersdorf, and then Galil, and then the rest of them. Nick Cassidy, who we saw at the last round, the young New Zealand driver, who ran as teammate to Blomqvist, not here this weekend. I presume it's a money issue. We've been trying to one of my colleagues did text him to try and get an answer why he's not here, because we had been told that after Cassidy appeared at Norrisring, he would definitely be in the car for the rest of the season.
Yes.
And then we've come to this next race, and he's not here. And he did an outstanding job, I have to say, in his first ever Formula 3 race. So that's a real disappointment not to see him.
There is Blomqvist that we look at right now.
Yep.
And of course, Tom Blomqvist, as you and I recall, Andrew, at the Norrisring circuit. Well, he sat up there and had to take part in a press conference because Felix Rosenqvist was under all sorts of penalties and appeals, and it was at one point Tom Blomqvist actually thought he'd won a race, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was a bit of a disaster, to be frank. I draw a line under that. But anyway, Tom Blomqvist hadn't won the race after.
No.
A great shot there of the new pits complex here, or relatively new pits complex here, and he's just seeing in the background a little bit of the old Nordschleife. You see the Schloss sitting up there on the hill, and you just come down and you see a bit of the old Nordschleife, which of course is still used for the Nürburgring 24-hour race. And of course you can get the taxi rides down there. But there, nice shot of Marciello. Sure, he's been rushing around Hockenheim many laps in the Ferrari simulator. But certainly in qualifying for this race, 0.3 of a second quicker than Alexandra Sims in the 3-bond with T-Sport Dallara, with that privately developed Tomai company developed Nissan engine. Here is all the way from Tel Aviv, Roy Nizani, the new for 2013 orange Muka Motorsport colours. So all the personnel leaving the grid here, and they'll head off on the warm-up lap on what is a beautiful day, Dave.
Yes, and as we travel down here, keeping an eye on the forecast, because it's quite changeable here in the Eifel region, isn't it? So there we are, the camera focused on Marciello once again.
Yeah, Dave just going to step out of the box a moment to try and get our audio engineer in here, so we'll just sort out the timing monitor. It's not showing us really what we want to see at the moment, but I'm sure it'll get sorted before the race starts. There's a nice little shimmering shot there showing the heat, and if we did have the right timing monitor, I could tell you what the actual temperature is. And here's our engineer just coming in. We're not very good at changing the channels even on this. So off they go on the warm-up lap here, and Marciello just trying to get a bit of heat into the tyres. And we're up in the commentary boxes. It was a pretty noisy spot actually as they head off, and that's the first corner, that very tight first gear corner, where you might see some odd incidents down here. And now we've got everything in front of us, and we can tell you that the temperature is 22 degrees outside, so quite relatively early in the morning, and but track temperature already up to 35, so the tarmac really soaking up the temperature. So Marciello, Sims, Rosenqvist and King are the top 4. Just reminding you that Damon Hill's son no longer in this championship because he decided to he preferred to be a drummer in a rock band, so that's well, he's stepped away from his Fortec car, and they haven't found a replacement driver for it.
No, that came as a bit of a surprise to us all, didn't it? But there we are. He's taken the brave decision to choose his professional life as a drummer rather than a racing driver. So here is the starting grid then. Marciello and Sims on the front row with Rosenqvist, King on row 2. Then it's Pippo Tirani and Lucas Hauer. Michael Lewis and Felix Sorales with Sven Muller and Harry Tinknell occupying P9 and P10 on the grid with Lynn Gilbert, Kvyat, Tom Blomqvist, the Latifi, Mardenborough, Chiva, Vandelar, Nassani and Giovinazzi there through to P20 on the grid. All the information, of course, at FIA F3 Europe.com, as you can see on the bottom of your screen there. That is the website address. And the remainder of the grid, Rudersdorf, Galliel, Calderon, Wolf, Goddard and Sandro Zeller brings up the rear of the grid. And we are away on the formation lap and about to get the first race of 3 from the Formula 3 cars underway here at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, very busy weekend, as well as the DTM here. We've got the Porsche Carrera Cup, a couple of races, Volkswagen Sirocco Cup. We've got a couple of races this weekend. And we also got that Auto GP series on the bill this weekend. So fans getting a plethora of motor racing. 3.7 kilometres this circuit. We're going to go for 25 laps or 40 minutes, whichever comes at first, and that's revised at 35 minutes, isn't it, Dave, these days? And Marciello there just lining himself up. You've got to get absolutely in that box, because we've seen people penalised for that in the past. I'm not really sure that Marciello is actually right in the box perfectly.
From that camera angle, it didn't look like he parked it very well, did it? But there we are.
A Brands last season, somebody got a drive-through penalty for that. And it was a bit more out of the box than that. Just the last few cars coming up at the back. Indonesian driver just taking position, we see right now. And then Giovinazzi as well. As that man with the green flag says it's all ready to go. The man on the button will push the computer, which will start this, and we've got 5 lights are going to go out, and who makes the best start? And I just thought that Sim got a bit of a jump, but it's Marciello who gets away fastest, and this is good for Marciello, but they've got to get there, braking right down into this first turn, and look at Rosenqvist in the orange car all the way around the outside, but that's the slot back into 3rd place. So the top 3 on the grid take the first 3 positions, everybody around that complex cleanly. As we look over at the Eiffel Mountains behind. But Marciello it is who's in the lead from Alexandra Sims, and then it's Rosenqvist, and then it's King and Durrani and Lewis and Auer.
Well, remarkably, everyone through turn 1, 2 and 3, all okay, Andrew, and we've seen so many comings together there, haven't we, as the cars get 3 and 4 abreast as they did through turn 1, but now everyone looking okay. A little bit of a touch there.
Auer, I think.
It's Sorales there, just a little bit of a touch on Muller, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So as the cars come through, then 25 laps or 35 minutes, as Andrew has said, of this Nürburgring circuit, as we see out there into the gravel just momentarily went Lynn.
Yeah, well, Lynn said he's got to really push on the first lap, try and make up some places, and Lynn, he's made up a couple, Dave, actually.
Yeah, so here we go.
Right across the grass is that King, I think, and Latifi doing the same thing.
So that chicane then catching 1 or 2 out as we complete the first lap very nearly here at the Nürburgring. This, the first of 3 Formula 3 races. Marciello from Sims, Rosenqvist, King, then it's Auer, Durrani, Lewis and Sorales.
Down there in 9th place, Muller. Kvyat's up to 10th. See how it all... such a tight hairpin, that, isn't it? Right at the end of that fast straight.
That is a fantastic camera shot, so you can see exactly, just as you're saying, Andrew, just how tight that turn 1 is. And, well, pleasingly, we got through it all okay. And
Marciello 0.7 a second quicker. Well, 0.7 a second gap over Sims, I should say. Rosenqvist right there.
Battle going on between Chiva and Mardenborough there that we had on screen just for a moment.
Yeah, that's I think that's for 15th spot.
So we stick with the pack as they come through then. Marciello then 7/10 ahead. Then it's Alexander Sim, then it's Rosenqvist. Through that chicane once again. Heavy braking into that chicane, then it's uphill section through that. See how they're bouncing off that curb, Andrew, on the exit of that chicane.
Yeah. They really work on the front suspension and the shock-absorbing system to take that hit through the riding the curbs here. It's very important at this track to use a lot of curb to get a good lap time.
And here's another shot into turn 1.
Yeah, different angle of the hairpin here now. Lucas Wolf down there in 25th, didn't mention him. He's had a couple of good races recently, but he's back down at the back of the field now, the young blonde German driver.
Yes, you're right. Do take a lot of curb, don't they? So Marciello then, Sim. There is Rosenqvist, and King now just beginning to close in on Rosenqvist a little bit.
Yeah, an hour. Then it's Durrani and Lewis. Sorales, Muller, Kvyat. Lynn actually thought Lynn had gone forward a bit, Dave, but he's not. He's down there in 14th place. The man who's third in the championship. Not good for the racer from Essex. There's Rudensdorf going through. We're back at the front here.
So up through that chicane once again then. And then it's into the final turn. Coca-Cola, I think it's called, isn't it, Andrew? The Coca-Cola turn before they head up to the start-finish straight. And there you can see the heat haze, and through that comes Marciello, who's leading. And then we see Alexander Sim, and then Rosenqvist. And King is getting right on him now.
Sims has just dropped back now to 1.2 of a second. So Marciello's setting a good old pace. And 1:23.5 his last lap time. I think that's the quickest so far. Early days though in this, and here's a replay of the start. See the Ferrari Driver Academy badge on the front of Marciello's helmet. I thought Sim just got the jump a bit, but it wasn't good enough.
No.
And then the Rosenqvist slots right down there, down the inside, and then decides to go round the outside. Lewis still there, the second of the orange cars, in 7th place.
And there's a great example of just how tight it is, and that pack of heaving Formula 3 cars through there into the Mercedes complex.
All 2-litre engines, mainly Mercedes, a few Volkswagens in there, and of course the couple of Nissan motors.
So there was Kvyat and Lynn.
Yeah, that was a good move by Tinknell. And I was just thinking about, I think it Tinknell who went wide there. And Tinknell in 11th place out of the points-paying positions.
Just saw him replay there, that coming together between Wolf and Rudensdorf, Andrew.
Yeah.
So Marciello leading then with a 1.4 margin over Alexander Sims. Then a further 8/10 back is Felix Rosenqvist in P3.
We're back to the flags for leaving the track confines, and already got the first one there, Dave.
Sean Galliel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's being shown the black and white flag for not staying within the track limits.
Yep. And that's the white lines you see. Like, you're allowed to go over them, but not put all 4 wheels over them. And we've had quite a few penalties in the past in Formula 3, and that's partly what that situation's about in Norris Ring, but it was mainly about speeding in a sector and whether a yellow flag was out or not. In the end, they decided a lot of the time they were mistaken that the flag was out. So a lot of the penalties were rescinded. They did make a mockery of that race.
Yes, it did rather, but their drive-through penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, and that's Dennis van der Laar, Andrew, that's going to get that drive-through penalty.
Young Dutchman with the Dutch team.
So we keep an eye on the race control screen to bring you that information as and when it pops up on that screen. But of course, the race continues. Marciello leading from Alexander Sim, Felix Rosenqvist in 3rd place with King 4th.
Marciello looking for his 8th win of the season. Remember, he had that awful weekend in Austria, which really allowed Felix to close in on him. In the last meeting, Felix had 2 seconds and a first, Rosenqvist that is, but Marciello had a first, second and a third.
Yeah.
Podium every time, but it's the way it worked out at the Norris Ring.
But you're absolutely
so
right.
that meant that Rosenqvist clawed back a little bit of the disadvantage points-wise he had. And of course, he clawed back a lot at the Norris Ring. So that really, it's back game on, isn't it? But Marciello doing just what he needs to do here. out in the lead.
Yes, he really is controlling this comfortably, isn't he? A nice 1.8 second margin, and he's still...
Yeah, you see, that's where you see it's not all of them using all the curb.
No.
Marciello.
Just looking at last laps around, Marciello, a 122.
Sims, Rosenqvist.
I mean, certainly Sims and Rosenqvist are both quicker. No, they're not. 123.364 last time around for Sims, and a 123.345. So Marciello then with 0.4 quicker on a lap, and that's where he's gaining that margin, because the margin now is 2.2 seconds.
So there don't seem to be too many challenges at the moment. Everyone with 3 or 4 car lengths between them.
Now, Harry Tinknell, we've got information, is under investigation.
I think that'll be for going wide as well.
Yeah. So, car number 3.
Yeah, Tinknell on the back foot a bit, not qualifying well.
Down here in P11 at the moment, so with him being under investigation as well. We're on lap 6 of 25.
Tinknell did well on his home circuit, and he had a win at Silverstone early in the season. He had a second at Brands, but not looking like any chance of a podium, certainly in this race.
No, you're right.
Marciello and Sims, and Marciello all the time is increasing that gap at the front.
Yes.
He's now out to 2.8 of a second, but King is keeping the pressure up on Rosenqvist for the second spot here in the first of the 3 FIA Formula 3 races this weekend. Last weekend, of course, I had British Formula 3. This year, a mini championship. They're just a shot there in the background of 51 Kvyat. Danny Kvyat, the young Russian, in 10th place. Won't get a point for that because he's not registered for the championship.
So we saw also in there Sven Muller, who got a real lump of oversteer out of the chicane on that last lap around. So just scrapping off a bit of speed, probably carried a little bit too much into that chicane. Just be interested to keep an eye on that Sven Muller car to see if it is loose at the back end there. Again, that's something that's all to do with setup. Just being told that Lucas Wolff is going to get a drive-through penalty as well.
Incidentally, Jordan King is also doing the British Championship, currently here in 4th place, but he leads the championship from Will Buller at the moment. We saw Will in this championship earlier on in the T-Bond car that Sims is driving now, and stepped away from that. Yes. And driving for Carlin. So Carlin in the British Championship 1-2 at the moment. Marciello, of course, here driving for the Prema Power Team, who won this series a year ago, with Danny Juncadella, who's now doing such an excellent job at the DTM for Mercedes-Benz. Also tested a Williams Formula 1 car 3 or 4 weeks ago at Silverstone. Lewis there hanging on for 7th position.
So there our camera focuses on our race leader. Raffaele Marciello then doing everything absolutely right in the early stages of the first of 3 Formula 3 races here at the Nürburgring. He's got some 2.5 second margin over second place Alexander Sims, with Rosenqvist 9/10 behind in P3. That's 9/10 behind the second place driver. But Marciello is driving very, very, very clean, tidy every lap, Andrew. Yeah. Very, very good driving.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure Ferrari have got high hopes for this young man. I'm kind of assuming, I haven't discussed it with him, that they will fund him into a GP2 season next year. Or maybe in the future we'll have a Italian back driving a Ferrari Formula 1 car. That'd be something else. This kid certainly got the talent, as long as he can keep the momentum going. As we said, it's 18 years old, It's,
yeah. And it's a remarkable talent for 18 years of age, isn't it, Andrew?
It's pretty cool, and, don't see any Latin temperament normally coming out from Marciello. A little bit tall for a Formula 1 car. 6 foot in our money.
And the thing is, of course, this championship, Andrew, has been such a proving ground and a training ground, hasn't it, for those that have gone on to make great their careers. And Marciello for sure, continuing on in that vein, you would think, with the form that he's showing at the moment.
I haven't just done the count lately. There's about half the whole field in Formula One's come out of the European Formula 3 Championship. Going back to some of the older drivers in Formula One, quite a lot came out of the British Championship, of course, Jenson Button and indeed Mark Webber. But more recently, the Lewis Hamiltons of this world, Jules Bianchi, the recent champion, and so on, all come out of Paul di Resta, all come out of this series. Or the forerunner to this series, of course, was called the Euro Series. Round that final corner again, past the pits, heading towards half distance here in this Formula 3 race, with Marciello further increasing that lead. It's 3.3 seconds now. There's the gap between second and third. Our timing screen says that's at 1 second. Looks to me about 6-7 car lengths. And Muller making a dive down the inside there on Sorales. Just in the end decided discretion was the better part of valour.
It's interesting, the point you made just before we got this race underway, Andrew, with these cars so sophisticated and engineered in terms of their aero package. Of course, you know, overtaking really difficult, isn't it?
The teams are allowed to put their own aero mods on, and a couple of years ago, before we went to this latest iteration of Dallara Formula 3 car, the previous one, because they've been running the same chassis for about 5 years, you looked at the cars, there's quite a few different things on them, mirrors, different barge boards, various aero packages that teams have developed. But I look at these cars at the moment, and nobody seems to have come up with anything outside the Dallara window there. So some people have personal things on the handbrake, some people have personal whims or choices on the way the paddle shift, you know, the configuration of the paddle shift behind the steering wheel. But you look at these cars and you can't see much aero development going on. Got a great wind tunnel at Dallara, of course, so they just know how to make these cars work. Just remind everybody that everyone's driving a Dallara chassis. They, unlike GP3, don't have to. If you want to build your own Formula 3 car, you can do it. You're allowed to. You know, Lola had a go a few years ago. Going way back when, of course, used to have 6 or 7 different makes of Formula 3 car. But Dallara just done such a good job that they've got it sewn up.
So we're keeping an eye on this battle, which is going on for P8 at the moment between Felix Sorales and Muller.
Got a drive-through for car number 9, Dave.
Yes, that's Lucas Wolff.
Yeah, you said that we'd get that, didn't you?
Yeah, but that was
this is
a black flag for non-respect of the drive-through penalty. So that is very serious, Andrew.
Yeah, he's going to be in front of the stewards. He'll get a penalty for the next race for that.
And the investigation for Harry Tinknell, no further action is going to be taken. So there we have it. But car number 9 then, which is the car of Lucas Wolff, then getting a black flag for not respecting that drive-through penalty, not taking the drive-through penalty. It has to be done within 3 laps, Andrew.
Yeah, well, he's got no excuse for that. Young racing drivers just can't do that. So I suspect they'll give him a penalty for the second race now.
So there is...
He's still not come in, has he, Wolff? He's right down at the back of the field. Lynn made no progress at all there in 14th place, Mardenborough in 15th. Just had news that Mardenborough is going to be going out to Japan and doing one of the Super GT races for Nissan a little bit later in the season. Of course, you had a grand drive at Le Mans in the LMP2 car, did a super job there.
Yes.
There you are, you can, tells you there, you can visit Puerto Rico.
Yes, as we watch Felix Sorales then and Sven Muller then. And not far behind Muller is Daniel Kvyat. Danny Kvyat, of course, was impressed us so much earlier in the season.
Well, he's got a twin program going on, driving GP3 as well, and I'm not sure it really works for these boys. It's quite a different sort of car, and I think they have a bit of trouble switching from one to another. Red Bull have decided he's a boy to go with.
and you know, as a young racing driver, to get that Red Bull package behind you,
Yeah,
Andrew.
but you know, we said, you know, that at the Norris ring, Nick Cassidy came in and just blew Kvyat away, and he'd never raced a Formula 3 car before.
That was absolutely
so sad
remarkable.
to not see him have a drive here. I'm sure it must be a money issue.
And that actually in itself says something, because it's such a shame when someone is clearly so talented.
Yeah. If Nick Cassidy was a German, he'd be in this.
Yeah.
But, you know, New Zealand's a small country, and it just obviously motor racing fraternity there has not been able to raise the money. For Cassidy, of course, has won that Toyota Racing Series they hold in the winter down in New Zealand, where 5 or 6 of these boys went out and did it, and he beat them all.
Yeah.
And Cassidy came to Britain, start the season looking for a Formula 3 drive. Finally got one for the Norris ring, and then it's gone away again. So it's a real shame, but talent usually rises to the top, so hopefully somebody will spot that. He also had a test with the 3-Bond T-Sport team as well. So Marciello just putting in those consistent laps, just about the 1 minute 23 mark, and just still edging away a bit from Sims.
Yes, he is. Each and every lap he's doing it, and doing it so well. The margin 4 seconds now between Marciello and Alexander Sims. Then it's Rosenqvist a further 1.5 behind in P3, then King, then Auer, then Durrani. Lewis, he is P7. Suralis and Muller, we've been watching that battle with Kvyat in P10, and all the captions on screen telling you where everyone is as well, and the margin back also. So where are we? Lap 14 out of 25 here.
This should go the full distance. We've had no incidents at all. Not very good for the Dallara parts department, this race, is it? Well, you know, they had a bonus day at Norris Ring. Yeah, well, Muller's been trying that, hasn't he, on Suralis? See the Puerto Rican flag on the back of Felix Suralis' car, and the dad, of course, top powerboat throttle man.
Yes.
The famous Victory team out of Dubai. Won a lot of races on the water, didn't the dad? And that's not a bad life, powerboat racing and owning your own rum distillery, is it?
No, just saw Suralis there really taking a huge jump off of that curb. He knows he's under pressure. Muller has been there, and Muller has had 1 or 2 attempts, hasn't he? But he's not been able to make it pay off. This is the battle for P8 that we were watching there, and into shot now comes Suralis with Muller behind, and then Kvyat is P10. Here they come through then turn 1. And in towards the Mercedes complex here at the Nürburgring. Through that sweep and left-hander, and here, let's see this, how he jumps that curb. Look at that, really takes off that car and manages to control it, just piles on the lock and gets through that chicane without a problem. But he really got the front end of that car quite airborne there, Andrew.
Certainly did. The second of the 3-Bond cars, Spike Goddard, right near the back of the field. And I presume the spec of that is just the same as the spec of the Sims car. There's, well, that actually said Marciello, but it wasn't. And now we saw Marciello briefly. But this is a spirited battle here between Suralis and Muller for 8th place. Lewis still hanging in there in 7th. In fact, he's pulled away from that battle. And again, Marciello puts in a lap at under 1:23, and no one else is doing that. Has pulled him away now, 4.6 seconds away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, he really has managed this perfectly from the start, hasn't he? As we keep our attention on this battle that is continuing for P8 then, between Suralis and Muller, and Kvyat and Tinknell not too far behind either. And whether that will come into play in, where are we, lap 16 of 25, so...
we did mention that Kvyat doesn't score points because the car wasn't registered. Sims, of course, has joined the championship late, but his car is registered originally for Buller to drive, and I think he will score points.
So it
because
is
it's the entry, the registration and the entry in the championship at the beginning of the series. And the sad thing is that car, Red Bull car Kvyat, joined the series at the second round.
Yep.
It's raced all the way through, but hasn't scored any points. Oh! Well, that was Muller. He comes back on the track at full speed.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, that had a run through the gravel trap, but his tyres are not going to be in very good shape now.
No, and, well, Tingnell trying to take advantage of that. He's chucking gravel everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that was obviously, you know, he just tried a bit too hard to get past Sorales, didn't he?
Way back in the old days, in the late 60s, Sir Jack Brabham was famous for deliberately putting wheels out in the dirt to throw stones at people. That's one of the reasons he was called Black Jack.
Right.
Well, this is a good little battle here, then.
It's livened this up, though, hasn't it?
So Tingnell in there, Muller. And Mitch Gilbert, this is one of the best runs we've seen from the young Australian. This is a replay of, so the back end snaps away, and then he's just into the end of the gravel track. They're carrying far too much speed.
No, in
Gets
fairness.
onto the grass, which fortunately is nice and hard at this time of year. Let's see it from this angle. Well, they're all having a go at it. Sorales
was
he started it.
Yeah.
Just wonder if there's a little bit of fluid then down on the track. Don't see anything. And then we got the. It's like being behind one of those gravel trucks in the snow on the motorway, isn't it? Do your body work any good at all?
So to be fair, then it wasn't. He wasn't really challenging Sorales. Sorales went out just a bit wide, didn't he? And just caught. But Muller, well, all the way through it.
And look at all that gravel. It's all got scooped up in the under tray there, and scattered around. Just there on the apex of the corner, you see our special tracking cameras. They called it in the trade a Jimmy Jib.
Ah.
Got to be pretty experienced to pay those blokes a bit extra.
All right.
It drives it all with a little joystick. There he is, panning it now, look.
Yes. So great shots that we're able to bring you of this first of three Formula 3 races here at the Nürburgring then. Marciello, well, so comfortable with a 5.1 second margin out front, not being troubled at all. Gilbert and Blomqvist having a go there.
Drive-through penalty for another of the back markers, Andre Rudersdorf. Again, leaving the track.
So there we can see...
I'm pleased to see Gilbert running in some pretty good company here.
Yes, he is. He's got Blomqvist right behind him, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's definitely his best run of the season.
So there are camera focuses then on the Red Bull livery of Tom Blomqvist. Currently 6th in the Drivers' Championship. And right ahead of him then is the familiar orange colours then of Mitch Gilbert.
Yeah, his best finish this season, been a couple of 14th places, so done a bit better than that.
Yep, P12 at the moment. So Blomqvist taking a look around the back of Gilbert's car, but nothing like close enough to be able to mount a challenge to move up from P13 to P12. And there is Wolf, non-respect to the drive-through penalty. He's the one that was given the black flag.
Yep. And there he is. Not happy, is he? No. Can't understand it.
Well, now, Andrew, to be fair, you know, the information would have been communicated to him, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. He's driving for that little URD team.
Yeah, URD Rennsport, isn't it?
Yeah, they used to build their own sports cars for endurance racing in the past. But he's got to look at his pit board, because his pit board for sure would have said, "Come in, mate.
Yeah.
You've been a naughty boy."
Wow.
And now he's out of the race.
Yes.
second season in Formula 3. He's got no excuses. He's been around long enough.
Yeah. So Marcello then, 5.6 to the advantage up front he has over Alexander Sim, and Marcello's just driven this race with, always done everything, ticked every box, hasn't he? Alexander Sim then, Sim's P2, then it's Rosenquist
Yeah, so he still
P3.
dropped it just 1:23 and 1,000th of a second that last lap.
Yeah.
And he took half a second out of Sim's.
He's just been consistently quicker, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's, you know, when he's on his game, and he is most of the time, that is Marcello, isn't it?
Yep.
It's unflustered, doesn't even look that quick, but it's the consistency of the speed as well.
So 5 laps left to run in this race then. King there, we can see. So Rosenquist just went through there on a shot. There is Jordan King in the blue colours through the chicane, heading up towards what is the final turn on this Nürburgring circuit. There is our race leader. Well, we've not seen that much of him because he's been at the front and truthfully has been untroubled, but he's now beginning to reel in back-marking cars, Andrew.
Yeah, we've only got one of the 2 girls this weekend racing. Michaela Cerruti is off on other duties, but Tatiana Calderon is in there. She's running just, I think she's running about 23rd, 24th.
So there is Marcello, the Prema Power team then, well, engineered that car to perfection, and he's driving it in a similar style.
Yeah, with second generation team management in that team. Rennie Rossin,
Yeah.
Now the son of the founder, now running it very successfully. The dad's still running one of their lesser teams. He doesn't like it. It's not running the frontline team anymore, but he's still running, I think, might run one of their teams in the Italian Championship. But Rennie Rossin is the man that manages this situation.
So camera focuses then on Felix Rosenquist, who, of course, second in the championship. Is well, the margin's going to be increased a bit if it stays this way, because Marcello leading in style. Only first race of 3, though, to come this over the course of this weekend.
Yeah, Felix has had 6 wins this season. 3 of them, of course, came in Red Bull Ring. Won all 3 races there. That really closed up the championship. But Marcello's just doing what he's got to do to try and take this title. Remember, he came so close last year, pipped by Danny Juncadella. Presumably learned from that. Learn to soak up the pressure a bit more, and there's no question about it. Ferrari put a lot of pressure on the young man.
But then in one of your many conversations with him, you got the impression very much that he'd got more of a level head this year, that he was going to bank points where it was necessary and think of the championship.
Yeah.
Well, certainly doing that now with a margin of some 6 seconds over the P2 driver. As we look at Auer then, here comes Lucas Auer.
Just the 1 win at Brands Hatch this season, Lucas Auer. Of course, in the past, we used to have the reverse grid races, which we don't have. All 3 races are equal status this year, no reverse grids. So all wins are equal. So last year, they weren't all equal, were they, really? If you won one of the reverse grid ones, it didn't count for the same points in the Euro Series, and didn't count at all at the races where it was also counting for the FIA Championship. Now everything's all merged together.
It did. It mixed up the order a bit, though, Andrew.
It did.
It?
Oh yeah, it did. I mean, it was for the show. So here they are, these effectively little mini Grand Prix cars. Pull a lot of G. These cars, sideways and under braking.
We're watching
so that there you see the big restrictor box on the side, all the air passing through that hole into what they call the plenum chamber.
Yeah.
And that means we've got a lot of longevity with these engines. But it also restricts the way they rev. So these way back, when, many years ago, before they introduced that, these Formula 3 cars used to rev to 11,000. They sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
I always feel that they sound a bit throttled, these engines, just because they're not revving that high. And Volkswagen and Mercedes, and obviously Tomy for Nissan in Japan, still trying to find the odd little bit of development out of these engines. And it's been the same base engine for a very long time. It's based on a production block.
So Marcello then, now look at that margin, 6.2 seconds.
Yeah, well, we're right in the closing stages of this one. And, well,
it's going to help.
Good points haul for
Yes, it is. It's going to give him
Marcello,
even more comfortable margin at the top.
And confidence for the second two races as well, of course.
Yes, of course. This is the final lap then. And Marcello Sims, Rosenqvist King, the 1, 2, 3, 4 with Lucas Auer P5, Pippo Durrani P6, then it's Michael Lewis and Felix Sorales, Danny Kvyat and Sven Muller P10 on this, the final lap of this first of 3 Formula 3 races here at the Nürburgring. So through the glare of the sun, through the camera, into the chicane. And there, Andrew, is our race leader who has done a remarkable job.
He certainly has driven supremely well today. And the checkered flag falls on the young Italian Ferrari protege, Lello Marciello. He wins there with a gap, ultimately of some 6 seconds over Alexandra Sims, giving the Russell Escott 3 Bond with T-Sport team their best result in this championship, taking home a nice, handy second place with Rosenqvist in 3rd position. Then it's King, Auer, Durrani, Lewis with his best result of the season, and then Sorales, Kvyat, Muller. Tignor will get a point, although he's 11th because of the Kvyat not scoring. And there, the rest of them is Marcello slowing down now for this lap. And there with another Prema. There you see the Italian sweeping flag down the side of the car. Team from northern Italy. See that big Mercedes-Benz grandstand, not full yet, will be tomorrow afternoon for the DTM. There's a replay of the flag falling. Here's it from a different angle. The flag that every driver wants to see.
Yes.
There's Rennie Rossen in the middle. And, well, took his hands off the wheel. Don't do this at home, folks. And clapping and waving his fist and generally celebrating. I am number 1. Yes, I've done it.
Well, I have to say, Andrew, that was
We've talked about body language. It's hand language. Hand language.
a supremely rounded drive from him.
Yeah, made the perfect getaway into the first corner, no trouble. Only guy that lapped regularly under the 123 mark.
Confirmation of the result then. Raffaele Marcello takes the win from Alexander Sims, P2. Felix Rosenqvist, 3rd. P4 for Jordan King, P5 for Lucas Auer. Pippo Durrani then P6. And Michael Lewis, the American, takes P7 with Felix Sorales, 8. Danny Kvyat, P9. Sven Muller, 10. Then we see Tinknell Gilbert, Blomqvist, P13. Then Lynn. Jan Mardenborough then P15, Eddie Cheever 16, Nissani, Giovinazzi, Latifi, and Sean Galliel then for Double R Racing taking P20.
Best finish of the season, I think, for Gilbert. And Goddard 21st, Tatiana Calderon 22nd, then Van der Laar and Zeller, Rudersdorf and Wolf. Wolf, of course, failing to come in after the flag, and then finally, I presume, being disqualified from the race, in effect. All the cars coming in now into the Parc Fermé, where no one's allowed to touch them.
Yeah, being...
except for the top 3. And
Alexander Sims just...
yeah, that brightly coloured crash helmet. Remember him racing, of course, for Muka Motorsport in the past in this championship. And, driving for the Status Grand Prix team, and well done. Sort of slightly downbeat British sort of congratulations. Well done.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, awfully well done.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
well done. Yeah, I think we might see it a bit different from Marciello.
Yep. Now he'll stand up in the
Yeah.
cockpit as usual, I suspect.
And then they will be ushered up towards the podium. Of course, the podium celebrations we will bring you in full. But there is Marciello.
Yep. You see the steering wheel, and you see the aluminium bit at the back, the paddle shift, and then the traditional banging of the barriers. And there it stands on the cockpit. Over to the team and the hard-working mechanics and engineers, team management. And Rosenquist just going nicely down and
Yep.
congratulating each of his team members. Got some new logo painted on the back of his hands device there, look.
Oh.
Can't quite see at the moment.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I wonder what that's about.
Oh, well,
And
we will find out.
that's a good viewing point up in
Yeah.
the Schloss.
Right. 322.5 points now Marciello has against Rosenquist, 288. That's a nice margin, Andrew, isn't
Yep, it is. Yeah, it's if he can get a couple of good wins this weekend, you know, he's getting pretty close. Remember,
Yeah.
this championship's right at the sharp end, Dave, now.
Yes, yes, it is.
Because we have the news that the Paul Ricard round is no longer going to happen, but it's been replaced by Vallelunga.
Yep.
So we've got, after this weekend, just a race in Holland to go. When DTM goes to Oschersleben, they won't be racing there. So it's after this, it's Zandvoort, then the new race at Vallelunga, and then the Hockenheim finale. So 9 more races to go. Still a lot of points to be had, of course.
But no doubt about it, he's putting himself in the best possible position.
Certainly is.
Isn't
Look
he?
at that. So really using the curbs to good effect, but not damaging the car too much in the process. Yeah. Sort of jumping a bit, didn't he? And decided it might not be very good for the cockpit. And just like the way he stepped off, it's a tall young man. It's his best part is 6 foot. And now with the man who's 6 inches shorter than him, Felix Rosenquist. Speaking to the most longest established Swedish motor racing journalist, Fred Peterson, here this weekend, who lives in Germany. He's come down especially to see Rosenquist, trying to help him as a fellow Swede and see if he can. Fred knows all the top, the Frank Williamses of this world. And I think he's going to have a word with Frank about Felix. So, see if Williams will be looking for. Well, they are looking for a test driver to go alongside Susie Wolff. Susie Wolff here this weekend. Quite other big names in the world of rallying here. Let's say you're Kankkunen and Markku Alain here this weekend. They're going to be driving in a little while in the Volkswagen Sirocco Cup Legends car. Also saw a former Grand Prix driver and or top sports car driver and Le Mans winner, who I haven't seen for a while, actually, JJ Leto here this weekend. Nice to see JJ. He's come to try and give Kankkunen a few driving tips in the Sirocco. He says he's not really working. Kankkunen, one of the all-time great rally drivers, of course. Markku Alain did quite a bit of car racing, actually, particularly in Lanciers in the days gone by. As we wait here as the Porsche Carrera Cup cars are coming out, Dave, for their must be their qualifying.
Yes.
And there's a kind of breeze here, as you can see from the multicoloured flags that fill our screen at the moment. And we're looking out of the box over at the podium, which we can see, and not much activity there yet.
No. The podium presenter, Peter, is standing by. I can see.
Yeah, is he there? Yeah. Nobody's there yet. So just reflections on that Formula 3 race. As we said, peerless drive by Lello Marciello. Best performance ever in this championship by the 3-Bond T-Sport Dallara Nissan. A solid drive by Felix Rosenqvist, third, but we'd like to have done better. But there you are, that's the men we're going to see on the podium in a little while.
Just
Trying to see if there's any cars still going around the Nordschleife. Apparently you can also hire a car. I understand that it's a really racy Suzuki Swift you can hire, or you can be taken around by BMW. Drive your own car around there and miss all the motorbike riders who've fallen off. But there we are, there's our winner there. Teenage star in the making. Big star in the making. There's the Prema Powersport team. And then Felix Rosenqvist from Sweden. And national anthem time. So the flags go up, 3 different nationalities, totally international series, of course. Some of the boys from Muka Motorsport. And Emanuele Pirro hands over the trophy. Been a Formula 3 star in the future, Le Mans winner, Grand Prix driver. Always a man with a smile on his face. Mr. George Youngman, who's one of the local politicians of this area.
So the Prema Power team then applauding the success.
And Pirro again. Pirro's also driving one of the legend cars.
He's in the Sirocco, isn't he?
Yeah, that's why he's dressed in the Volkswagen gear. And then the 4th and final trophy is handed out here. Remember, they've got more work to do. They don't want to be drinking any of that bubbly. Another race to come. And the lady from Prema Power team. Let's check her name out. I've seen her on the podium before, but she knows what's going to happen. She's going to have a change of Prema Power team shirt. Yes.
It's interesting that you can see there just how tall Marcello is.
Yeah. I said he's 6 foot, but he might be 6'1", you know. As we check out some of the highlights here from the first of the 3 FIA European Formula 3 Championship races at Nürburgring on this sunny day. And Dave Ritz and myself, Andrew Marriott, will be back with the second race later on this afternoon. Thanks everyone for listening, but you have seen a man who is really going places score another victory today, his 8th win in this championship this season. And otherwise, well, a few little incidents here, but nothing too spectacular, but we've enjoyed it. And for now, it's so long, goodbye, adios.